All right, let's mix it up. It can't all be about Florida State basketball. It can't all be about the inadequacies of Florida State baseball. It can't be about the indifference towards Florida State football. We got to change it up from time to time and celebrate the consistency of dominance that the Florida State soccer team brings to the table and do so for a good cause. And so we'll do it now as we bring in Mark Krikorian, of course, the head coach there at Florida State. Your success is well known, a couple national championships mixed in there with the – first of all, it's hard for me to realize and wrap my brain around the fact that you've been here, if I remember correctly, since 2005.
Yeah, 14 seasons. It's a long time. Yeah.
That is remarkable to me. I remember when you were hired. I was actually on the air, and I can certainly remember our early conversations. And you've built a monster, obviously, as I talk about the 2 national championships, but better than that even maybe to some people certainly is a level of consistency that is the envy of most collegiate soccer programs. The College Cup, you're practically there every year, 9 of the 14 years, and 4 appearances in the national championship, winning 2 of those, and 6 league championships. We go on down the list, but you built a monster and you've built sustained success. How did you go about that process? Obviously, it's not the same as a football budget. This is something that you really kind of engineered and built up and now have sustained. Take us through that process, and how do you sustain that?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with having a vision, right? You have to look at what it is, where you're at when you walk in the door, and then set your goals and your aspirations. And for us in the ACC, when we came in here 15 years ago, it was clear that UNC was setting the standard for excellence, and in a lot of ways they kind of paved the way for all of us to take a look and see what excellence was defined as, and their success over the last 30 years is remarkable. But for me and for us, we looked at it and said, okay, well, we don't have to invent it. We just have to figure out how it is that we're going to be able to maintain that level of success, get to the point where we can compete with them and beat those guys, and then we can compete for national championships. And fortunately for us, the cupboard was not bare when I walked in, and we put together a very good staff. And I think that a good part of our success is definitely tied to the fact that we've been able to attract and have very good coaches here that have been able to bring in very good players. And putting all of those pieces together, then when you put in the resources the university has committed, the work that the boosters have done to help us as well. Our crowd is fantastic. So you have the local support. I think basically it's the perfect storm for us. We have an awful lot of elements that are all working in our favor, and I think probably some good leadership from the top, and then with all of the other successes of all the other teams here, it's contagious. We look at the success that our football team has had over the course of time, and baseball with Coach Martin, and the softball team, and you look around everywhere, everyone's winning. So there is this familiarity with being successful, and I think that we have joined right into that.
I'm curious how you went about, I think for people who do pay attention to the program and see the successes and the consistency of that success, obviously this is a real versatile group year in and year out. And we talk about whether it's the production on the field, but certainly in recruiting, you've created sort of an international pipeline. Talk about that process and how you were able to do that. And then now, obviously, that becomes sort of a thing that everybody knows is happening, and this is a destination program, to say the least.
Yeah, it started long before I arrived here at Florida State. So, obviously now I'm more towards the end of my career than the beginning. But, for 30 years I've been recruiting international players, and the best recruiters for us are our former players. So when our kids go back and they get into different national team settings, and there's a talented young player that may have interest in coming to the United States, well, there's no one better to help us in the recruiting process than our former players. And, they know that they had great academic support here. They had support in so many different ways outside of just the classroom, and they developed as soccer players. So I think that over the course of time, the networking piece has become really obvious, and with the success that we've continued to have and the number of players that we've put into the pros, I think that young talented players serious about their studies and wanting to combine the academic and the athletic piece often are finding this a very attractive destination.
Talking to Mark Krikorian, head of soccer, Florida State University head coach, joins us on the Jeff Cameron Show. And we know the work of a coach is never done, but what is the off season like for you now? And in addition to participating in an event like Kickin It For Autism, what kinds of recruiting or training work do you do in the spring and summer months?
Yeah, we've been working at it pretty hard here. The kids got back in January, and we started immediately with some different types of training. And through the course of the spring, we're going to have, I think, 5 or 6 different competitions. We have an upcoming game against a group from Puerto Rico, of all places. And then a few days later, we'll travel over and we'll go and play the Gators at Gainesville. We have a number of our players. We have 3 right now that are in the U23 U.S. national team. We have 3 that are leaving next week to go and play in an event in La Manga, Spain, for their national team. So it's been a bit of a revolving door with different players in and out for national team duty. But we feel as though the players have worked hard and are getting better, and that the product we're going to put on the field next year should be a very good one again.
One would think, last couple of things, you never want to describe it as being a victim of your own success. I know off the air, you and I were just kind of talking about the basketball team and their successes, and they go from being sort of the ones doing the hunting to the ones that are hunted. But once you change the narrative and change expectations and are able to establish a level of excellence, you never want to go back. But there are an entire number of different difficulties that are associated with that. I guess talk to me a little bit about what you've done to be able to sustain that and what that's like now with the target on your back annually.
I don't think that you can get too high and too low. I think that can be something that can become, it's almost torture for you if every win is the national championship and every loss is the end of the world. So for us, we try and take a big picture approach, and what goes on early in our season isn't nearly as relevant as the preparation for the end of the season. And I think last season's probably a great example of it. Over the course of the season, we did have some bumps in the road, but through all of those bumps, we learned, our players learned, and we always hopefully got better from it. And I think at the end of the season, we showed putting together a string of really great results to be able to win the national championships and win the national championship. And I do think that it is often because the consistency we've had is because we're not resting on any one result. That's not the most important thing. And as I said to them in December after we won the national championship, make no mistake, the national championship was won in December, but it was truly won starting last January in the preparation that started in January. So while the game itself is played in December, what you do between January and December dictates whether or not you have a chance to win the national championship. And right now we're in the same mode. We've been through January, February, we're in and completing March, and my hope is that the work that we're doing during this segment is going to help prepare us to be prepared for the fall.
The event is the 3rd annual Kickin It For Autism. It's a soccer clinic, folks, with FSU soccer teams and coaches, and all the proceeds are to benefit the FSU Autism Institute and FSU Center for Autism, also related disabilities. And, Coach, I know you're excited about it. It's Sunday, April the 7th, and I guess is there anything else we should add to it? I'll continue to push the message and get people to understand where they got to go to register and all that good stuff, but anything you want to say about the event itself?
Yeah, I think that anyone in the community wants to come out and be with our team. Our players are all going to be there in the past, and I'm sure again this year we've had members of the football team out there, the basketball teams, men's and women's. We've had all kinds of different athletes out there, and anyone in the community can come out and interact with different athletes out here. And we look at it, and it's a real winner for us and our kids. We get to be out on the field with some really special young people, and some kids are affected with autism. Other kids are typical kids, and they're out there. But Kathy Zenko in the Card Center, and Amy Weatherby and the folks that related to the Card Center here in Tallahassee, they just do a great job for all of the kids affected here. And we couldn't do more. We're happy participants. We're thrilled to partner with them and to join in. And we got all kinds of great sponsors and partners that are jumping in and helping. But anyone in town that wants to be out on the soccer field getting some instruction from Florida State players and some of the other athletes as well, and have a good time, come and join us.
Coach, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate you taking the time, and obviously we'll continue to promote this. Be well, good sir. I'll talk to you down the line.
Jeff, you're the best. Thank you, pal.
Thank you. Take care. It's Mark Krikorian. He's the head coach at Florida State University, 2-time national champion. We've talked about the resume before. It's much more than just those national championships. It is a dominance and a sustained dominance that obviously is the envy of most coaches in any program. You're aspiring to get to that level and be able to consistently compete in the College Cup, which Florida State certainly does, giving themselves opportunities year in and year out. But the event, obviously in this case, is April the 7th. That's a Sunday, and it is, again, as he noted, a heck of an event because it's not just players and kids and people of the community suffering from autism. It's really anybody that wants to come out. So it's a nice interaction there. It's at 2:00. It is at it's a soccer clinic, and it's, again, soccer players of all ages and experience. And I would hope that you would go and support that. A couple of things to note here: if you're going to participate and be a part of it, you got to wear athletic shoes and bring a bottle of water. That's it. It's pretty easy. And then also, it's $20 on-site registration. 2 for $30 is a family discount there, so it's pretty inexpensive. And that registration includes, you get a T-shirt and you get a prize ticket and refreshments and all that other stuff.
This is a top-flight institution, the FSU Card Institute. And if you wanted to make a donation because you can't make it, perhaps you'll be in Minneapolis that weekend. Who knows? Who knows?
Could be.
Maybe the basketball team gives you a reason to go there. You can go to fsucard.com and make a donation to this awesome center that's doing great work.
Yeah, when you hear us talk about the Card Center, it's the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, FSU Autism Institute. That's what we're talking about. So, yeah, absolutely. Good job adding that on, and good job, Mark Krikorian. Thank you for joining us, as always. More of the Jeff Cameron Show momentarily.